Hello, my name is Aaron. I do rants and reviews, and this is a review of the Razer Basilisk X Hyperspeed. Alright, so let's get right into it. I'm not going to unbox it because I already did that in another video, so if you want to see the contents, you can go watch that. Here is the mouse. I've been using it for about 6 months now, and there are a few things I like and a few things I dislike. So we're going to talk about that here, starting with what I like. Now, first of all, I do really like the form factor. Just to give you a perspective, prior to this, I was using a Logitech MX Performance, which is kind of a more studio style mouse and less gaming, but it was a bit large for my hand, so I like that this one's a bit smaller. It just fits my hand a bit better. One thing to note is that it's very clearly for right-handed users, so if you're left-handed, you're probably going to want to go with a different mouse on this. But yeah, I like the form factor. I like the position of the buttons right here, and everything just feels good overall. Now, another thing I like about this is that it works overall. I really like the Razer Synapse software. I'll probably insert a quick clip of how that works. I really like the ability to program the buttons and the Hypershift, which essentially gives you a secondary function for every single button on the mouse. So as opposed to 7 buttons, you can have essentially 14 different programmed options in there, and I really like that. It's fairly easy to change and modify to your liking. I also really like the battery life on this one. I just barely had to replace the battery for the first time the other week. The battery goes right here. This video is not brought to you by Radio Shack. RIP. Anyway, the battery goes right there. I really like how this is not a clip or anything. It just is held in there by a magnet, which means there's nothing that can break. I really like that it's just a magnet holding that in, as opposed to a clip or something else that might eventually wear out and break. Now, a lot of people commented on my video about how long this lasts, saying that it has mechanical switches and it's going to fail eventually, and that is true. So I would like to point that out. My previous mouse, the Logitech MX, started having a double-clicking issue, and that's why I replaced it. And I got this one because it's supposed to be more durable, but as a lot of people, viewers pointed out in the comments, this still does have mechanical switches, which means it is a mechanical piece that is creating that click and that connection, so it will eventually wear out with time. As opposed to an optical switch, which will not wear out. So if you're looking for something that's not going to have a double clicking issue, you're going to have to fork up the extra money for something that does not have mechanical switches. But again, for my needs and my purposes, this seemed like a reasonable compromise. I do like how this has a small spot to keep the dongle. So that makes it convenient to take with you. Now let's get on to the things that I don't care for as much. For one, it's not great at tracking on uneven surfaces. Now, I know this is a gaming mouse, so most people that buy it are going to use a mouse pad. As a matter of fact, I got one myself, and it works very well on the mouse pad itself. However, if you just try to use it on a table or on glass, it's just not going to work. The previous mouse that I had, the Logitech Performance, that one worked on glass and all types of surfaces. It worked on the couch. It had a different type of sensor. So I kind of miss being able to just use it anywhere, but it makes sense since it's more of a gaming related mouse that it would only work on mouse pads, or work best on mouse pads. Another thing I dislike is the fact that you cannot link multiple devices to this dongle. Now I know that's probably for connectivity and speed purposes. Again, this is primarily meant to be a gaming mouse, so speed is important to a lot of users. But I don't care so much about that, so I really wish I could link a Razer keyboard and a Razer mouse to the same dongle. Unfortunately, unless you have a very specific type of mouse and keyboard, I believe the Black Widow and the Death Hatter, maybe the more expensive mouse and keyboard can link to the same Hyperspeed dongle, but the cheaper ones cannot. I don't know why that is, but it's kind of frustrating that you can't do that because even Logitech with their cheap $10 mice allows you to link multiple objects. Anyway, another thing that I missed from my previous mouse is the left and right function on the wheel. During the unboxing, I actually made the mistake of thinking that this did click left and right. I think I corrected myself, but it does not click left and right. So if you want that button or that feature, you'll have to, again, probably buy a more expensive mouse. This is a budget option after all. Here's a quick size comparison to a Logitech M325. So this is meant to be a more portable one. It's clearly a lot smaller. And this one actually failed. This is a mechanical switch to turn it on and off, and it has failed. So I can't actually turn this off anymore because this switch broke. So that's kind of something that might happen somewhere down the line, hopefully not too soon. This one has a similar switch for Bluetooth and the 2.4 connection. I don't use Bluetooth. I use the dedicated dongle. And yeah, so I will continue to provide updates on this. So expect an update in, I don't know, 2 years or something, or whenever this starts double clicking, whichever comes first, because I do want to kind of test the integrity of it. So more long term as opposed to 6 months. So we'll see how this lasts. Right now, again, I do like it. It is a bit on the lighter side, especially compared to the Performance MX, which was a fairly hefty mouse. And I know that, again, part of that is for gaming, so that during those marathon sessions, you're not wearing out your wrist with a heavy mouse. But I do wish it felt a little bit higher quality. And anyway, so those are my thoughts on the Razer Basilisk X Hyperspeed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, I really do think this is a great bargain mouse. I picked it up for about 25 USD, which is a really great price considering everything that it comes with. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. I look forward to reading them, and I hope to see you again in another video. Take care. Bye.